Hello and welcome. You're watching Good Morning India. I'm Gargi Rawat. Stay with us for all the top news and our big focus on the show today. A second nationwide drill to test the country's preparedness for conducting the vaccination drive is taking place today across 737 districts in 33 states and union territories, days after India's drug regulator gave its clearance for 2 COVID vaccines. Today's drill will be the largest undertaken in the country so far. One was carried out earlier, a small one on the 28th of December, and then the first nationwide drill was held on 2nd of January. Dry runs are being conducted across the country to ensure that the health sector is well prepared for the actual vaccine. Sites have been identified for the process and logistics have been cleared out to prevent last-minute problems. Health Minister Dr. Harsh Vardhan will be in Tamil Nadu today, and meanwhile COVID vaccines are being dispatched over the next 3 days, and the government has said that all the vaccine preparations are on track. Let's go across to our reporter. Sukirti joins us from Delhi from the Holy Family Hospital in Okhla, and Sam joins us from Chennai from the Rajiv Gandhi Hospital over there. Sukirti, first you tell us about how this dry run takes place. Yesterday, Dr. Harsh Vardhan, when speaking about the previous dry run, said that, certain issues were found and those will be ironed out today.
Yes, Gargi. Today we are standing outside the Holy Family Hospital in Okhla. The dry run will start here in about half an hour or so and will go till about 5 p.m. Those are the timings for the dry run across the country, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. What is mainly going to happen in the dry run is that they will carry out mock drills of the entire vaccination process from first the waiting room where all of these people who are set to get vaccinated, they have to sit with social distancing, then the vaccination room, then the registration process where an official will check, cross-check all their data on the COVID database, what are their name, their age, their documents, identity documents, all of those will be checked. Then they will be sent to the vaccination room where the actual inoculation will take place, and then the observation room where they will have to sit for about 30 minutes just in case there are any side effects, and if there are side effects then the person is supposed to be taken to the nearest medical facility depending on how severe the situation is. So as far as Dr. Harsh Vardhan's statements are concerned, in the last few dry runs that have taken place, they did notice a few gaps, but he said also the ministry had earlier also said that those are mainly in the database and those have been rectified, but they are continuing with the process of dry runs just to iron out any other flaws that they may find on the ground. So just to be geared up for the possible rollout, which is expected somewhere around 13th or 14th January as per the ministry's indications. So this is all in the final run up to that.
All right, well, let's go across to Sam now, and Saurabh also joins us from Mumbai. Sam, so the health minister is going to be there and he's going to go to several hospitals. Just tell us about his program.
That's right. We come to you from the Rajiv Gandhi Government Hospital in Chennai. Gargi, the health minister, would be here any moment now. Possibly he has come already. We could see some kind of a buzz there, and he would be visiting this place where the second round of the dry run would take place, and we are at the waiting hall where already many frontline workers, including nurses, doctors and other workers, could be drivers or sanitary workers who have been part of the health department, all waiting to be part of the dry run here. In fact, the minister has come as we speak now, and after this he would also drive to another center, the government Omandurar Medical College Hospital, where after the visit he would also be given a PowerPoint presentation on the Tamil Nadu government's containment measures and control measures here, and then he would drive to another place in Chennai at Periyamade, where we have the a massive go down where the vaccine would be stored. Then he drives to Chengalpet district, an hour away from Chennai, and where he would also visit the integrated vaccination complex. Based on the earlier dry run, Gargi, the Tamil Nadu government says it was largely successful. They had some few issues for which they've given feedback, and through this and one more round they hope they will be able to sort this out completely. And they say in terms of infrastructure, in terms of training, the government is completely ready. At every center like this, they have a system in place to give vaccination for 100 people. They have that 5-stage system: registration, verification, inoculation and then observation. And at the first round, around 6 lakh frontline workers, both from government and private, will have been registered online, and they would be given vaccination whenever it's ready. then we have various stages, and around 41,000 centers have been prepared across Tamil Nadu for this sake, and they've trained enough health workers and professionals to make sure the vaccination would be a smooth process. So we'll have to wait and see what the minister would have to say after his visit to these camps and also the storage points. That we expect him to address the press around 10:30 or 11 o'clock.
Right, and Sam, we were seeing visuals of the health minister arriving there. He's surrounded by a huge crowd, and he will conduct his survey now. But also, this is going to be a test for the electronic platform CoWIN. How does that take place, if we know?
Gargi, I couldn't hear your question. Can you repeat?
Sam, because the entire vaccination process will, there's this electronic platform CoWIN that the government is going to be using to track real time, the vaccinations, and people later will have to register on that. So is that also, if you could tell us how that is going to be, tested today?
The government, based on the first dry run, authorities, Gargi, say it worked very smoothly. They have to first register themselves, giving the credentials in terms of Aadhaar, and then when they arrive here, they show the acknowledgement they received. They immediately cross-check, and the members immediately get an SMS alert on their mobile phone through the app, and that confirms that it's the same person. And then they take them to the inoculation room, and then at every stage it's recorded online. They had some challenges in areas where the connectivity could be a problem, but authorities at that point said they are working it out to make sure the centers where this will happen will be well connected. So that was a challenge, but authorities say they are ensuring technology in terms of connectivity would not be a problem, but the platform itself, they say, was working very smooth and transparent and very efficient in terms of ensuring the lakhs of people under various categories would be able to first register, and then in a very uninterrupted way they'll be able to verify them and take them through the process of inoculation.
Right, Sam, we're seeing visuals of the health minister actually, peering over a desk, looking into the computer of one of the personnel there, and perhaps looking at how they're going to be tracking this and, noting it all down online. And again, this dry run, we've had, as we mentioned earlier, smaller ones earlier. A nationwide one took place on the 2nd of January, but this is the biggest one. And it's great to see that, these dry runs are being conducted, because we've seen what's happened in the US and the UK, where, they launched the vaccine a long time ago, but the vaccination program has been very, very slow. They found lots of hurdles, lots of challenges. The states, it seems, weren't prepared on how to, give all the doses of the vaccines that they've received. So great to see that this dry run to ensure the smooth vaccination rollout, hopefully next week.
Absolutely. Although Tamil Nadu has a very robust health system, they're not taking anything for granted, and this kind of different levels or rounds of dry run, they say they'll be able to make sure everything works to precision when the real vaccination takes place. So they're making sure that it takes in a serious way as much as possible, so that at every level it can be scrutinized, both from the point of view of the people who come for inoculation and from technology point of view, and from the practical hurdles in terms of infrastructure, in terms of technology, in terms of the training given to the health workers across the state. So at every level they say it's a learning process, and they give feedback, they take corrective measures, and they hope that when the real vaccination takes place, it will be a completely smooth, seamless, uninterrupted process across the state to make sure lakhs and lakhs of people, according to the guidelines, would be inoculated to shield them from the pandemic.
All right, Sam Daniel, they're reporting from the hospital in Chennai, where the Union Health Minister, Dr. Harsh Vardhan, is visiting to check the dry run takes place smoothly and to see how it's done. And he's going to be in Tamil Nadu today and visiting various hospitals. Let's go across to Saurabh now, who joins us from Mumbai. And Saurabh, finally, the vaccine is around the corner. We know Mumbai and Maharashtra had such a huge challenge with this pandemic, especially the health workers. I beg your pardon, Saurabh, sorry, you're in Kolkata. Tell us about the program over there, how, the preparations are being made for the dry run.
Gargi, I can't show you much in terms of visuals at this point because we've been barricaded, but this is the place where one of the major, dry runs is going to take place. This is the SSKM hospital in in Kolkata, which is one of the state-run hospitals selected for the dry run. There are 3 sites in Kolkata itself where the dry run is going to take place. And then, of course, there are other places, 69 venues across the state of Bengal, which includes other parts of West Bengal as well. Now, this is, of course, one place. This is one of the main government-run hospitals in the city of Kolkata. And here, of course, the major portion of the dry run will be taking place. Health officials are expected in a while from now. 9:30 is when we have been told that the dry run will begin. Apart from this place, which is the IPGMER, which is the Institute of Postgraduate Medical Education and Research auditorium, where the vaccine dry run will take place here in Kolkata. There are other state-run hospitals too. One is a KMC run, or the municipal run urban primary health center. Then the other one is, of course, the NRS Medical College and Hospital, the Nilratan Sarkar Medical College and Hospital, which is also one of the big government-run hospitals in the city of Kolkata. That's where it's taking place in Kolkata. Bengal has requisitioned about 6 lakh doses of the vaccine for frontline workers. And that will be stored, we are being told, at a facility in the Bagh Bazaar area of Kolkata. From there, it will be distributed to the districts. But all of this is, as Sam was pointing out, is being done to ensure that whatever hurdles that the authorities, administration is going to face in terms of rolling out the vaccine, they have an opportunity to iron out those hurdles. And that's why the dry run will take place in one of the biggest hospitals in Kolkata, the SSKM hospital, and of course the other hospitals that I mentioned. 69 venues across the state where I believe about beneficiaries will be called, and then of course they will conduct this dry run so that they have a process that's streamlined when it comes to the actual rollout of the vaccine.
All right, the dry run in 69 venues across West Bengal today. Thanks so much, Saurav, for joining us with that. Now, news, and there you can see Union Health Minister Harshvardhan at that hospital in Chennai, the government hospital, where he is reviewing the dry run preparations. It's a massive exercise. Already a first nationwide dry run was conducted on the 2nd of January, but this is the big one. And Dr. Harshvardhan, yesterday when he was interacting with the health ministers of various states and UTs, had spoken about how they received feedback on the previous dry runs and, whatever the challenges were, whatever issues cropped up, and they'll ensure that all those issues are ironed out during today's dry run, and hope that it all moves very, very smoothly. He will be visiting several hospitals across Tamil Nadu and checking to see what the preparations are. So there you can see Dr. Harshvardhan first-hand reviewing the preparations at that government hospital in Chennai. And from Chennai, let's go across to the northeast, where one among the best performing states in the country for COVID management, Assam, is all set for rolling out the trials and the actual inoculation of health staff in both public and private medical facilities. In fact, the state has been preparing for the vaccination plan since September, and cold chains have also been set up. NDTV spoke exclusively to the state's health secretary, Sameer Sinha, on its vaccination plan.
Storage facilities. We do have a state vaccine store facility in Guwahati. Apart from this, we have the regional vaccine storage facilities in 5 places in the state and across the state actually. And although we have in Assam today 33 districts, but we have 27 district vaccine stores, and we have 723 what we call cold chain points. So this infrastructure is already there. For the purpose of COVID vaccination, we have we are in the process of training vaccinators, close to 9,000 vaccinators, and then the supervisors, close to 1,700 supervisors we have trained. We have close to 1.7 lakhs healthcare workers. They are the primary kind of lot which is going to be vaccinated, followed by, of course, the field level workers, and subsequently people who are above 50 years of age, and so on and so forth. So in the cold chain, the entire process, you have to maintain a certain temperature, and this we had reviewed way back in September, October itself. We kind of, wherever we needed some infrastructure support, we have worked on that. And today there is no, as I told you, that we do have vaccine stores, cold chain points, walk-in cooler, all such infrastructure that would be required for this vaccination drive. Assam is ready for it. we are going to roll out this mock drill, this dry run across the state in all the 33 districts. And thereafter, as you rightly pointed out, we will really look forward to is there any communication problem, is there any problem of connectivity, because everything has to be uploaded. All these shortcomings, in case if they are found, we will have to work, and we are ready for it. In fact, we are wherever we needed to work, we have worked, and based on our experience in this phase where all the 33 districts going to be covered, we will work on them also.
And in other news, the ongoing farmers' agitation against the three contentious agricultural laws has entered the 44th day today. And today is when the 8th round of talks will take place between the government and the farm union leaders. The talks will begin at around 2 p.m. and it comes a day after the farmers protesting on the various borders of Delhi, that's Shingu border and Tikri, all took out a tractor rally in what they have called a dress rehearsal for the Republic Day parade. In fact, tractors lined up all the highways around Delhi. This is the arc around Delhi where tractors went up and down in protest. There you can see those visuals from yesterday's tractor rally that took place. And the farmers have said that if their demands aren't met, then on Republic Day, they will take out a tractor parade as well. Remember, there have been 7 rounds of talks between the two sides, but all have failed to resolve the deadlock as the government remains firm that the laws will not be repealed, while the farmers remain adamant that they want a complete rollback of the 3 farm laws and they want a legal guarantee on the minimum support price. So a day after that tractor rally around Delhi on the highways, today the 8th round of talks between the government and farmers. Time for us to slip into a short break. Coming up on the other side, US President Trump releases a fresh video in which he says he will ensure a smooth transition of power. He also claims that he called the National Guard immediately after the violence broke out yesterday. Let's go back to what's taking place right now in the country, and that's the dry run for the vaccine. And Union Health Minister Harshvardhan is in Chennai. Let's just listen in.
COVID warriors, and all through 2020, you have been reporting from ground zero, taking all the risks yourself, and sharing all relevant and good information with the people of India. So first of all, my greetings to all of you in particular and to the people of Tamil Nadu. And it's not my greeting, it is the greeting of my beloved Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, who has always been inspiring us all through 2020. He has guided, he has led from the front, he has been proactive, and he has monitored everything very meticulously. So I convey the good wishes of my Prime Minister to the people of Tamil Nadu today. Today is 8th January and I recall that exactly 1 year back, when on 6th of January, the World Health Organization had informed the whole world about the cases of Corona, which have appeared in China on 31st of December, which were causing pneumonia there. We were the first ones in the whole world to have probably taken a note of it. And on 8th of January 2020, we had called our meeting of experts in the health ministry. So it is full 1 year now since we had responded to the news of COVID outbreak in the whole world. 2020 has been an year where virtually everyone rose to the occasion. The central government, under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, it was a whole of government approach. It was a whole of society approach. Every state government, all the health ministers, all the non-government organizations, social organizations, and of course the scientists, apart from the medical professionals, they have shown exemplary performance, exemplary dedication and commitment. And in 2020 we could see that on most of the fronts, on almost every front, with the help of medical professionals and scientists, we could do extremely well. And the performance of 2020 on the COVID front for the whole of the world, and then you can compare it with India, highest recovery rate, lowest fatality rate, out of something like 1 crore, 4 lakh patients who got affected with COVID, more than 1 crore, almost all of them literally have recovered and gone back home. And in the last 1 year you have seen, we started our journey with one testing lab. And today when I talk to you, after exactly 1 year, we already have 2,300 laboratories in the whole country. We are exporting PPE kits. We have the capability now to be able to export N95 masks, drugs, ventilators, everything that people used to talk towards the beginning of the pandemic in India as so-called shortages which we were importing, including of course the testing kits, which we are producing almost 1 million testing kits a day now. Everything we have been able to take care of in India itself, and this has happened because of the inspiration given by the Prime Minister for the development of an Atmanirbhar Bharat by the countrymen. Today I am so happy and delighted to be here in Tamil Nadu. You know that in the shortest possible time, India has also done extremely well on the front of the development of vaccine. And right now, 2 of our vaccines have been given emergency use authorization. And we are in the process of ensuring that in the next few days or so, in the near future, we should be able to give these vaccines to our countrymen, starting with, of course, prioritizing those who are most at risk, our health professionals, healthcare workers in the public and private sector, followed by frontline workers, our police, our army people, our paramilitary people, our sanitation and our municipal corporation, and all those frontline workers who helped us in containment zones and other places. And then of course, in the next stage we'll be taking up the people above 50 years of age, and then of course less than 50 with comorbidities. You are already aware of the scheme of things that have been discussed with all of you earlier also, to ensure that in a country as vast as India, with a population of 1.35 billion people, everything is done smoothly, meticulously, without any glitches. We started preparations for the impending vaccination drive against COVID almost 4 to 5 months back, when the Prime Minister had constituted an expert group, National Expert Group for Vaccine Administration. Our people in the Health Ministry, along with others, and in consultation with the stakeholders in the states, we have been working day and night to formulate guidelines, to work out the minutest possible details, and also to ensure that every detail is conveyed to the people at the grassroots level, starting from the national level to the grassroots level. Lakhs of healthcare workers have been trained adequately. The process continues, and we are having technology, electronic intelligence network. We earlier used to have a eWIN platform, which we have converted into a CoWIN platform now. eWIN was electronic vaccine intelligence network, and now we have this CoWIN. Earlier, during the routine immunization program, we were only tracking the vaccine along with its place and the temperature on which it is being stored or maintained. But now it is also tracking. The new COVID platform is tracking the details of the potential beneficiary, the place where he is likely to get the vaccination, and then pre-vaccination and post-vaccination, including giving him an electronic certificate, following up with him for the second dose through detailed text messages, reminders. So it's a very detailed exercise, and it's almost a 150-page document that we have shared with the states for all the details to be shared with the people who are going to make it successful. The present exercise that's happening today is a national dry run. You can call it a sort of a mock exercise for ensuring that we are thoroughly prepared about it. And you are all aware by now, we had started with 4 states in the beginning and a few districts towards the fag end of December 2020. And then, taking some inputs from that, we had put some amendments in our guidelines also. Then on 2nd, also, we did this dry run in almost 125 districts of the whole country. And then, following upon that, today it is happening all over the country except 3 states which have done it earlier. I was privileged to have visited and seen from close quarters the nitty-gritty of this in the capital of India on 2nd of January. And today I chose to be in the southernmost part of India, in one of the southern states, Tamil Nadu. And I can only say with conviction, and I would like to place on record my sincere most appreciation for the good work that has been done by Tamil Nadu. Our Health Minister, with the blessings of the Chief Minister, and with dynamic officers like the present Health Secretary and all his colleagues here, in the government sector as well as in the private sector. And I know that a couple of months back, this Chennai was itself in a lot of trouble. All through we were worried about many states. Of course, Tamil Nadu was also one of them. But the way things were done in such a good manner in Tamil Nadu, and I was particularly impressed by the fact that 100% tests in Tamil Nadu were done by RT-PCR, and meticulous planning about testing, tracing, management, treatment, and while being treated in the hospital, so many good things have been happening which I had heard, but today I was fortunate to have a glimpse of many of those things. And that's why I had asked the minister. He said now we are having less than 1,000 cases, sometimes 700, 800, and yesterday probably it was something like 800. So they have to keep up the good work. The country has been, you can say, blessed with 2 vaccines available right now, and we will make sure that in the near future we start the vaccination drive for the priority groups and do it with meticulous precision at even the remotest sites for vaccination in the country. I will also use this occasion to highlight and underline one fact, which is another program in almost 10 days from now about
Welcome back. News from Goa now, and even as the tiny state witnessed the Save Mollem protest against the proposed widening of a road and railway lines through forest areas in South Goa, fresh protests have now erupted, and this time against the proposed Indian Institute of Technology campus and IIT Goa. Locals and the police clashed over land acquisition for the proposed 10 lakh square meter campus taking place in villages 50 kilometers southeast of Panaji. In a viral video tweeted by a Goa opposition leader, an old woman during the protest can be seen being dragged away, and that has led to fresh outrage. The villagers claim the land is being acquired unfairly and are blocking attempts at land demarcations by the government. Well, to talk more about these protests and what the situation is now, we're joined by Shubham Shibolkar, one of the activists there. Shubham, if you can tell us, the Goa Chief Minister, however, has said that they will look into these issues that have been raised by the villagers, but this land acquisition for Goa IIT will go ahead.
See, first and foremost, that's like totally wrong news which Goa government have been spreading, that it's a government land. It's been under the people's possession for past several years. And before the liberation of Goa, before independence of India, people have been living over here. These are not some roamers who have come over here. So now what they have done is like they have spread it around 3,000 to 4,000 of police deployed to 3,000 to 4,000 of police force over here to attack the villages.
Yes, go ahead.
So for now today what we have come to know that more stringent they will be attacking even with the bullets. That's what now what I have got, just now I have got a news.
All right, that's something that you're claiming, but currently what attempts are being made to talk to the villagers, and would the villagers be satisfied if proper compensation is given?
No, not at all. From liberation, from independence, from liberation till now, we have been asking for our land rights. That is like the land which we are bearing to bring it in our possession, bring it in our name. But that is not been given. So we are totally against the project which have been proposed over here.
Right, we're also joined by Pramod Acharya, editor, Prudent Media, Goa. Pramod Acharya, tell us, what we believe is that the Goa government has seen two other sites, but those were in forested areas, and finally they zeroed in on this particular site for the IIT Goa project. But villagers, as we just heard, and many of the activists saying that this land is something that belonged to these villagers, and the Chief Minister, however, is claiming that they will, talk to the villagers and work it out, but they will continue with this project here.
Yeah, as Shubham also explained very nicely, it is basically a land rights issue. Government is claiming that the land belongs to the government, whereas villagers are claiming that they have documents, necessary documents prove that they have a cultivation and they have land rights over this matter. However, I think the situation has gone out of hand primarily because when villagers raise these concerns, there should have been a response from the government and very quick resolution of the issue. Even when the administration started responding to the demands of the villagers, it was already too late. And now it has gone out of hand. There is a huge police force deployed in the village, and the entire village. I may note here that from last 6 months, including during rainy season, heavy rainfall, monsoon, they are coming at a spot. All the ladies in the villages are sitting at one spot, and every day they are telling the government that we do not want this project in our village. I think that is very notable that for 6 months, hundreds of ladies in the village are coming at one designated spot, sitting there every day consistently and telling the government that we do not want this project. And suddenly, when this is going on, government decided to go ahead with demarcation of land, and then the tussle started and things started going out of hand. I think initially when villagers raised these concerns, they should have been addressed in a much more quicker as well as humane manner. And now the situation is such that it has completely gone out of hand. Government has taken one very firm position and villagers are sticking to their own position.
All right, that explained it very well in Shubham. So now with the government, are they now reaching out? Can there be any possibility of some sort of talks and, the concerns that the villagers have be looked into by the government?
Nothing.
See,
For
Gandhi,
now,
what
nothing has
happened?
been...
Sorry, first Shubham and then I'll come to you, Pramod.
See, for now, government is like just playing a hide and seek sort of game. What they are doing is like, if we are protesting from one side, we are stopping from one side, they are reaching from the other side, because any land got their own way. There are multiple ways. So they are trying to reach out from the other way in the robbery kind of manner. So now government, instead of speaking with us, coming to us, Chief Minister coming to us, they are actually trying to threaten us, saying like, we'll do anyhow by hook or crook.
In fact, we did try to get someone from the government to join. Yes, Shubham, you were adding something? Sorry, Pramod, you were adding something?
No, my basic point was government should also understand that when a village, an entire village community unites against the issue, it is very difficult to deal with the village community with force or with the brute force of a police force. Because as long as the village is united, it is only going to resort to more violence, and that cannot be the right approach in this manner. First, government was late in reacting. Now government has taken a very rigid stand that if you want to come for discussion, not having a project is out of question, you come with other demands. So I think this late response to the agitation and now taking such a very firm, rabid stand, I think these are the two complicated issues. And Gagi, as I mentioned, when a village unites, an entire village community unites against something, it is very difficult to break that village by using such brute force. I think that is a fundamental point here. There needs to be a more humane approach, there needs to be more consultations, and there needs to be more political interest.
All right, and the government did have a window when they could have reached out and, actually spoken and taken the villagers, the issues that they had and concerns that they had into mind. Though now the government has said they're determined to have the IIT project at this site. Thank you both for joining us and talking about this issue.
I would like to add more things if you give me a little bit of time.
Well, we're completely out of time. Quickly, just one last point if you want to add.
Yeah. See, when we now say like we are for the environment, this area is nominated under the Western Ghats eco-sensitive area and bounded by 3 wildlife sanctuaries, that is Bondla, Madhai and Mahavir. Even that thing we need to take in consideration. If it is under ESA, then more than 20,000 square meter construction.
All right,
is
that's
not
an important
allowed.
point that you raised as well. The environmental concerns. Well, we're completely out of time. Thank you
Exactly.
both for joining us on the show today. Well, time for us to slip into a short break. More updates on the other side.